Hello everyone, welcome again to an X-Plane flight in the Cessna 172. Today we are departing from Beirut and we're going to fly to Damascus, which is just in Syria, across the mountains to the southeast. Shouldn't be too much of a long flight. I'm expecting this to take about half an hour flying time. We'll jump in the cockpit, and first thing I want to do is file a flight plan here. One thing I will just check though is that the maintenance is up to speed. There is a maintenance program as part of the REP. Oil pump needs to be changed. Spark plugs need to be switched. Spark plug type says we can switch that for a... That one fouls more, that one's more effective. We'll go with that one. Fine wire. I don't know which one's actually got in there at the moment. Okay, that one. We're going to use, oh, it doesn't really matter which fuel we use, whatever. 50 hours before change, fine. Same. Next page. CHT is 34, good to go. Recharge the battery. Leave that all as it is and everything else is fine. Okay, maintenance is done before we get on with the flight. It's part of the REP project, that. Avionics on. And I'm going to submit a flight plan here. Cancel that. That's not what we want to do. On the radio transmission. Flight plan 2. And the airfield we're going to is Oscar Sierra Delta, India. We'll go at medium altitude because we've got some mountains in the way. File the flight plan.
November 172 Sierra Papa Oscar Sierra Delta India altimeter 2992.
Okay, we're basically there on 2992. I'm happy with that.
Oscar Sierra Delta India altimeter 2992. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Good, and we'll request clearance at the same time.
November 172
4700 squawk, we're on
Papa.
4700.
IFR to Oscar Sierra Delta India as filed. Maintain 6000 squawk 4700.
Good. Read that back.
Cleared IFR to Oscar Sierra Delta India as
Okay.
filed. Maintain 6000 squawk 4700. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Good. Now I'm going to turn the radios off because we do not need those for the start procedure. Battery remains on and mixture will be in the full lean position. I'll go with just a little bit rich. We turn the throttle to about 25%, turn the fuel pump on, and just looking for change in the fuel flow. No, we can't do it at that level of zoom. We'll go with this level of zoom. Okay, I see fuel flow indicated. Fuel pump off. So 25 throttle, and we're basically ready to start. So here goes. Right, that'll do. Now we can just turn a few things back on. Engine RPM relatively unstable actually. Just gonna lean that up a little. And we'll idle on 1000. Good, that'll do. Okay, now we can turn the avionics back on. Everything's slowly spooling up here. Beacon, taxi, and nav lights on. We won't need the pitot heat today because it's nice and warm outside. Okay, we can soon taxi. I'm just going to request permission. Just put those brakes back on.
November 172 Sierra Papa runway 3 hold short of runway 35.
Runway 3, hold short of 35.
Runway 3, hold short of 35. November 172 Sierra
So,
Papa.
3 holding short of 35. Runway 3 is got to be this one here. 35 has got to be that one there. So I guess I need to taxi basically behind me on the right, but hold short of the first runway. Behind me on the left, hold short of the first runway. Okie dokie. Just make sure the flaps are in the fully up position as we wind our way over. Now, where's the taxi path that I'm supposed to take? I think this is it coming up here. There. We'll just go left here. So I've taxied over to the 3-5 hold short position. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get instructions again. This is classic Xplane air traffic control on the ground. Is that sometimes it's... Okay, so I've made it over to 3-5, just taxied halfway across the airfield here, and I'm holding short, and I'm just going to check in.
Tower, November 172 Sierra, Papa.
Now we should get our instructions.
November 172 Sierra, Papa. Cross runway 35. Hold short of runway 34.
Okay, so we're going to
cross
3-5.
Hold short of
and hold
34.
short
November
of the
172 Sierra, Papa.
So let's follow this bad boy. I won't skip this taxiing now. We'll endure all of the remaining taxiing. Get a nice interesting sound there when we roll over some of the bumpy bits. And we can go this way. Looks like our next hold short's coming up just here.
November 172 Sierra, Papa. Cross runway 34. Hold short of runway 3.
Okay, so now we cross 3-4.
Cross 3-4. Hold short of 3. November 172 Sierra,
So we're
Papa.
nearly at our runway. It's quite the trek across this field. And the handling with the dual brakes, it's a lot better than it used to be, but I find that using the brakes to bring this airplane to a halt is very difficult on the ground. As soon as you throttle back, obviously you start getting spark plug fouling, and so you have to keep the RPM up. But you're taxiing so fast, as you can see, taxiing so quickly that you run the risk of crashing the airplane when you try to put the brakes in. I'm just concentrating quite a lot here on trying to taxi this thing. Makes it a little bit difficult to do other activities at the same time, such as talk. It's quite the trip we're making across this field. I'm guessing I should have got some sort of racing car simulator. Probably be about the same amount of effort and fun. Come on, let's get there. Parallel to 03 now, so this is the last little leg of our taxiing. Rocking along at quite the pace. Okay, this is our hold position. So, I'm gonna just come up short here.
November
we're clear for takeoff.
172 Sierra, Papa. Fly heading 030. Runway 3, clear for takeoff.
Okay, good. Clear for takeoff runway 3. Let's go.
Heading 030. Runway 3 cleared for takeoff. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Right, I can't actually visually check if there's someone inbound because I don't have any visibility in that direction. So I'm fully trusting air traffic here. And we can basically just line up and go. Flaps are in the up position. Turning onto runway heading. Oh, we'll be airborne before we even get to the threshold here. Such is the joy of flying the 172. Okay, let's get settled into safe flying. Check flaps are up. Yes, they are. Taxi light off. Turn right soon onto 06. We've got a bit of a climb ahead of us because 06 is over there where the mountains are. And we don't want to...
November 172 Sierra Papa. Contact
Crash
center
to hill.
135.905.
Right, we've got a contact.
Contact center on 135.905. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Okay, so check in with the next controller now. And you have to close this window and reopen it. It's
Center November 172
really annoying.
Sierra Papa.
Don't know what the shortcut key is.
November 172 Sierra Papa Oscar Sierra Delta India. Altimeter 2992.
Oscar Sierra Delta India. Altimeter 2992.
Yeah.
November 172 Sierra
We're on
Papa.
that. Okay, I'm going to turn right now onto 06. So the city of Beirut is really, really dense in real life and does not have these European style buildings. So the way it's rendered here is completely incorrect, which is a shame because it's a beautiful, beautiful city. And we really don't get to appreciate any of it in Xplane as it currently stands. As one would expect, they've focused heavily on cities in Europe and North America, and large parts of the rest of the world have largely been neglected. Seems we've got quite a bit of wind here because I'm being shoved around substantially. Get rid of that box now. And are we trimmed? Yeah, we're basically trimmed. I think I'll bring the mark around to 090. Autopilot will go on. Try and gain some more height here too. Not bad flying conditions, I've got to say. The Looking out over the Med there, leaving the Mediterranean behind now. We've been flying along next to it since about Croatia, I think. So we've done a lot of Mediterranean. Well, that was the Aegean, wasn't it? But Aegean and Mediterranean. Aileron looks to be fluttering around quite a lot. It's probably the autopilot doing that, keeping me on heading. It's a bit erratic though. Yeah, it looks very erratic. It's got a very fast response time, the coding, and it's just looks a bit garbage. I'm out of trim, so I'm going to try and correct that with a bit of right rudder trim. Although I don't know if it makes a difference when should probably turn the alternator on now too. Should have done that already before. I haven't flown the Cessna for a while, and I always forget how to operate these machines after I haven't flown them for a bit. I tend to be flying this piecemeal recently. I fly it every few weeks and get all sorts of things, such as turning the alternator on. We should be clearing this ridge quite comfortably here. However, I'm a bit concerned that we've got this little bob coming up here, and I think we're going to have to go over that, so let's turn the AP off and we'll go up. Very low airspeed, 60. I'm going to hammer the throttle a bit harder and we'll try and get that mixture rich. And climb us over this somewhat precarious looking ridge. Got more mountains coming up in the background too, which I'll need to maintain this climb until we get over them as well.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Fly heading 110. November 172 Sierra Papa. Resume on navigation.
Roger.
On navigation. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Okay, so we're navigating by ourselves now. We've cleared control, and I'm just going to try and get us as close to 110 as I can here. That's about 110. Yeah, there's wind buffeting me around quite a lot. We should make it over this hill. There's all sorts of weird roads mapped up here, doing strange square things and bizarre intersections like that there. Airspeed is still very low. And we're down at 4 degrees outside air temperature. I think I may have to turn the pitot heat on, just in case. Don't want the altimeter freezing up on me. View down south, down towards Israel. And we are probably crossing into Syrian airspace about now. At the top of these mountains is where the border is. I think Lebanon just goes over the mountain peaks. Not entirely sure. .3 degrees outside, getting cooler still. There's 6,000. That's the altitude I'm supposed to be traversing at. I guessed quite well because these mountains look like they're about 6 to 6.5. It's not bad going for a complete guess about how high these hills were. Airspeed looks a bit better now as I'm leveling off, not climbing so hard. We're going to go for a climb of about 500 feet per minute, and it looks like we're going to end up going up to 7,000 or so.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Descend and maintain 6,000.
You bastards. They really have no consideration at all for landform, these guys.
Down to 6,000, November 172 Sierra.
Just
Papa.
because I said I was going to fly at 6,000, they just took that and gave it to me, and now they're demanding that I remain at that altitude, even though that it's going to fly me into a hillside.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Descend and maintain 6,000.
And there's another adage which is aviate, navigate, communicate, which means basically fly the airplane first before you communicate. Now I'm trying to get the aircraft trimmed into level or slight descent, and while I'm doing this they're already screaming at me for a response. So
Down to 6,000, November 172 Sierra Papa.
this is another area where the makers of Xplane have played.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Descend and maintain 6,000.
I think my response to the air traffic control is actually going to be bugger off. I'm just going to ignore them because I'm not descending to 6,000. Not on this heading anyway. Okay, I'm descending now, you shitbags. Okay, now we're descending.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Descend and maintain 6,000.
Down to 6,000, November 172 Sierra
They've
Papa.
got to at least give me the chance to get down to that altitude before they scream at me. I really should have taken VIA or VIO, whatever it's called, instead of using the in-game air traffic. Xplane's in-game air traffic is really bad. Unless you're flying up at 30,000 feet in an airliner, I really recommend not relying on it if you're looking for a reasonable or realistic experience. Better to have nothing, I think, than a system that's completely broken. If I was flying IFR, I would have crashed into a hill by now. Namely that one. Let's turn back onto 06 or 110 or whatever it was, 110. I'm going to overturn a fraction because I had to turn left before. Quick look at the map now to see where we are. So we're over the first range and we've got another series of mountains out ahead of us before we basically lock in on the final destination. There's no way I'm going to make it over this next range probably at this altitude. No way probably. Okay, we can turn back onto our 110 now. $100 feet too high. Rolling out there. Okay, now we're bang on. AP on, heading, and altitude. Very well. It's an interesting valley. Looks like there's a runway up there too, by the looks of it. Yes, there's an airfield up there. I'll have a look and see which one that is. This one here. Rayak. You can see how wobbly my flight path has been so far. Whoa, whoa, wobble. There's me trying to avoid a collision with a mountain. Oh, someone's up here in a glider by the looks of it. It feels a bit like the sun must be quite low on the horizon. Even though it's actually around midday. I wonder if it's just the clouds doing that. It's quite a lot of cloud. Now we should make it over the first part of this high ground quite comfortably. That second one we may need to just climb up and over. It actually looks like there's some fog in here too. Is that fog? Could be fog. It's a fantastic sort of plateau up here. Flattened off mountain range. Interesting form down there too. Very weird row of houses in a square with an empty box in the middle. That's just odd. That's a house up over there. No, it's a transmission line running over the ridge. .2 air temperature outside, so we're still just above freezing. There's local time, I think 13:36, so that's local time. Oh no, that's probably more likely 15:36. I don't know. That's UT, yeah, that's local time. That must be universal time, which is probably, who knows. Greenwich or something. We will clear this. That's good news. I'll just fly through this gap here. That gap there. Conveniently, this hill does a little dip for me. Allows me to fly over it without upsetting traffic control and getting yelled at again. Olive Grove, perhaps? Chance a glance at the map. Right, we're halfway there. At least halfway there. What that symbol is. Anybody know? Oh, okay. It's movable too. Strange. Clear that ridge with 100 feet or so, a couple of 100 feet to spare. No drama. The valley where Damascus is, I believe, is this one here, or just on the other side of that hill there. There's a bit of a city happening over here, or a suburb area with some motorways going through it. So this could be, it could be the valley in question. Up over there. More high ground ahead. Is the aileron fluttering and flicking about with the autopilot on? Very interesting assortment of transmission lines with pylons doing all sorts of weird things in that direction. Let's have a quick look now at our approach. Wind is coming from the north and east, so I'm probably going to end up getting vectored down to the south and then to have to land in. So I expect to get a right turn, not too distant future. I don't see an obvious airfield in this valley, so I think this is still the penultimate valley before for Damascus. So I think this last ridge coming up here is going to be the final sort of bit of high ground before we get a good view of the city itself. Should be in behind it on the right there somewhere at 2 o'clock. Fuel is starting to look like it's going to need probably topping up for my next flight. The REP project does appear to remember your fuel status and things between flights, so since installing the REP project, my fuel has actually been going down flight by flight, and I will need to now give the tanks a jolly good fill up at the next mission, or the next flight. It'll be southeast from Damascus. Very hazy today. Turning my track over to about 113, 114 degrees. We've been flying slightly left of 110 most of the time. I'm going to just correct slightly to the right, although I know we've got a breeze from the right as well, so don't need to worry too much. But about 112 would be good. Really getting close now. Certainly does appear to be habitation in that direction. Starting to look for the airfield. A lot of houses down here. There we go. I've got my lights and whatnot blinking away to the southeast. And I'm not far off the outer ring of the VOR DME here. Hopefully we get some beeping sounds and we'll get a new radio frequency, and then we can be guided right on down. Having a gaze out across the brown hills here. It's an interesting valley with this river running through it. Pretty rugged. Not much in the way of places to emergency land back there, although that's quite flat, that area, but beyond that, you're a bit stuffed if your engine fails up in that country. Here's my field. Looks like a single long runway with a long taxiway running parallel. See how far we are from the VOR DME. Probably a minute's flying away, maybe less. I wonder if they're going to vector me straight into land from this direction. It'll be a tailwind though, so I'll be surprised. I should actually have to fly down to the south and then do a 180 and come back in. The runway I'm looking at visually, it's not actually showing on the map here, which is, no, it's that one there. It is on the map. That's the runway I'm looking at, M-E-Z-Z-E, Meze. That is not our destination field. Our destination field is double runways off long, immediately right of 12. Okay, so good thing I didn't start turning in towards that thing, because that's not where I'm going. Where I'm going should be over there somewhere. There we are. Alright. Glistening in the distance. I was starting to think maybe they had forgotten about me and I was going to take some initiative and turn in towards the south myself, but it is a very good thing I did not, because that would have been a major boo-boo. I would have landed at the wrong field, egg all over my face, and probably lose my license. At least lose a lot of face. Dirtiness around the edge, which we've talked about before. Still no word from Damascus themselves, even though I've crossed it into the VOR DME. I'm just being very patient with these people. Maybe we'll go get some external views while we're tootling about here. Nice change of tone there in the engine sound. Take a couple of screenshots while I'm at it.
November 172 Sierra Papa Oscar Sierra Delta India altimeter 2992.
Which is what we're on. That's good. Read back.
Oscar Sierra
I'm also
Delta
gonna throttle
India
back here.
altimeter 2992 November 172 Sierra Papa.
Reducing throttle already to hopefully start slowing down. I'd like instruction to descend as soon as possible. That airfield is remarkably close, given the altitude I've got here. Fuel check's good, T's and P's, everything's in the green. Airspeed's good. Flaps are up. Nav and beacon are on. Cockpit secure. Are we descending? No, we're not, which means we're probably getting very slow. Yep. Isn't the sun reflecting off something? Some sort of bridge type structure. Two runways over here. Whole lot of houses in between. A bit odd. Quick check of the map. So we've still got the glider out there somewhere. I'm now almost off the end of the runways here at Damascus. It appears the landing direction may actually be from the north today. Confuses me a little bit given that the wind is coming from that direction. If those lights are to be believed below. Are we doing an overhead join here? I think we might be. Trying to get a sense for which way these circuits are running. It does appear that they're trying to get aircraft to land from this side of the field, is rather odd. I've now gone straight past the field. Still no instruction. Top level area control are giving me no instructions. I'm going to cancel the IFR and I'm just going to land here. I've gone straight past the field and no instructions have been received. Well, that's a bit annoying. Let's turn all this off then. Turn left. And then we'll circle around into finals. For Damascus, VFR landing. VFR approach and landing. I've got a choice of 2 runways to use here. So when I roll out, we'll just decide whichever looks the best of the 2. And I think the ground here is about 3,000 feet lower than me. We're nowhere near down at sea level. My altimeter is set for sea level. Don't actually feel like we're terribly high. I'm going to aim for the runway that's further away. It's the one that's on my left back there. Because I think that's the one that I've got a better approach height into. Okay, so we'll set up for some landing. We'll go landing light on. You. Airspeed's actually okay. I'm going to pull the throttle right down. Turn in. Now my airspeed's suddenly not very okay. Fast. Try and get rid of a couple of 100 feet of altitude. Dropping an aerofoil and pointing it at the ground is always good for achieving that. Okay, let's line up on this runway here. Almost a night landing. It's certainly dusky. And more than likely this is a bit of a tailwind landing. But the airfield wants us to land in this direction. 1 notch of flap. So I'm too high. Four white lights. Always too high, me. It's just how I roll, basically. Let's get another notch of flapping while we can, before we start getting too quick. Full flap, why not? Let's slow this aeroplane down. Lining back up now. .65 knots is good. 70 knots, anywhere around there. 65 to 70 is pretty decent. Bit of a crosswind, so I'm pointing off to the right. says I'm too high, so I'm not going to aim for the threshold. I'm going to aim for a third of the way down the runway. There's plenty of it to aim at. Plenty long and plenty wide. Right, here comes the amateur. Let's slow it up. 65. Bit lumpy. But I'll take it. Very nice. Just got to stop the pinking from happening here. And you can see we're still, even though we're on the ground now, we're still handling like we've got a strong crosswind. The rudders are very, like, oversteering. And trying to use the brakes is a nightmare. Oh, jeez. Oh, it's really difficult to handle this thing on the ground, must say. Probably best if I just come to a complete halt and then start again. Yeah. Ground handling in Xplane is still very difficult and counterintuitive in some respects. It just slides all over the place. It's like trying to push a soap tray around on ice. Let's get off here. I don't think there's a parking area here for us at all. No, there isn't. So there's nowhere to park. We're going to have to just drive off the taxiway here onto the dirt. The Syrian mud. It's going to go thud, thud, thud when we cross here. And next to this highway, the engine doesn't like being down here at all at this RPM. Good, flaps up. We'll turn the avionics off. Turn our lights off. Off, I said. Now the engine should be ready for us to disable. Brakes are on. And we'll just... I'm not going to turn it off by running the mixture. I'm going to go full rich. And then like that. Very good. We have arrived in Syria at Damascus after a somewhat strange flight, refamiliaring myself with the airplane as well as having to deal with the old Xplane traffic control. Quick look at the outside before we depart here, and there's a nice bit of sunshine as the sun sets here at Damascus. And we'll take a quick look at the landing as well. So the last few seconds before landing, basically idling the machine in. You can see I'm slightly cocked off to the right, but by this point it wasn't that much at all. Very steep approach. Doesn't look so bad from that angle. And we'll see how many wheels I managed to put down. I just leveled off a fraction to reduce airspeed. Then I pushed the nose down again. A little bit of engine. Okay, that wasn't bad at all. Great, thanks for watching everyone. We're in Syria. Next flight will obviously be heading out more across some of the arid Middle East.